Now, everyone knows the Hare's Ear Nymph. Basically, Hare's Ear Nymph is probably one of the best known nymph patterns that you could probably tie and put in your box and fish, because it catches so many fish. Plus, the main reason being it will represent many species, depending on the size that you actually tie it. So I'm tying a size 14, tying it on a standard barbless hook, this one here, this one from Full and Mill. The Hare's Ear Nymph could be unweighted just as much as it can be weighted. Now it could be copper, in my case I'm using copper wire, it could be lead, it could be weighted by putting a bead on it, kind of like a gold head or something like that. But I'm going to use the fine or small copper wire. Now this is a UTC wire, which is basically classed as a small or an extra small. Now what I'm going to do is I've got it on the bobbin holder, as you can see. It's a ceramic bobbin holder, so it's easy to wind. So we take it halfway down the shank, start it round about, say here, a good mill from the eye, take away the waste, and then what we do is wind back up. This will help build up, I'll give you weight obviously, but it'll help to get a shape into your nymph. And then once we go back up, we come halfway back down, and then work our way back up. And this will help give you a taper, then bend and break away the wire. Now thread I'm going to be using, you can use many different colours if you want, but I'm using in this case a rusty brown 80 uni. It's a nice colour, it goes with the fly. So we start at the eye, now I wax the thread, so we start at the eye, there's plenty of grip. As we wind down, we're covering the copper wire, but what I'm doing here is keeping a hold of the waist reasonably tight, which controls the turn and stops it slipping as I wind along the wire to this point, and then I can break it away. Now for the tail, I'm just going to use some pheasant tail, natural brown pheasant tail for the fibres. So it's very easy, you could use partridge, there's other fibres you could use, but I find the pheasant tail fibre lasts a longer. Or you could even use, you could use bronze mallard even, but you could hackle fibres, whatever you like, but the pheasant tail is a nice fibre to use. Now a good half dozen or so, bring them 90 degrees from the stem of the feather, we'll line the tips up and then tear them away. So there's my fibre there. My length, you're looking probably around about 2/3 the body length for a tail. Just tie them on the top as we come down, it's easier to do that. Just check our length, just checking to see where we are, because at this point we can pull it in a wee bit if they're too long, and they're slightly long, so when we're happy with the length we can then continue down with the thread to the point where we just start to come round the bend. Just open these fibres out a wee bit, do a wee quick look. Lengthwise, not too bad. Another turn or so, come underneath these fibres with the thread, and then just pull the thread towards the eye, which should help fan them out. If they don't fan out, encourage them, and then do a turn on top, which locks them in. So that gives you a nice tail-like fibre. We can then trim this away. Now for the rib, it could be wire, it could be copper, it could be coloured wire, it could be gold, whatever you like. It could be an oval tinsel in gold, or in this case a flat gold tinsel, which I'm going to be using. So there's a few ribs you could put on this fly. I'm just going to catch it. If you see there, is where you've obtained the copper wire down. I'm just tying it in the full length of that and making sure that's nice and tight. This helps to taper the body. You don't want to take it any further up. And then come back down about halfway. Now we're ready to tie in our dubbing. Now basically what this is your hare's ear dubbing. Just blend, what I've done is cut away from the ears and then just blended it within my fingers. Just by doing this, just working between your fingers. Mixing up the under fur, or the finer fur at the base of the hair, as well as the guard hair. So we get a nice blend. Makes it easier if you can do this to dub. And then we just offer it to the thread. Quite a lot of dubbing there, but what I'm going to do is Move this long one here, there's a long fibre, shove one out the way. Just take the dubbing up to the body. You can see I'm a bit of miller too from the tail. What I like to do is get it on the anchor point, get it started there, and then lightly start to dub it on by just using the thread turn to catch it in, stretch it out, and then work my way up. Makes it tighter if you do that, and then we want to taper in our body. So we actually start to work up. As we work up, we can tighten when we need to. Round about at least slightly over halfway. When you're happy, you can remove the excess. Now, as you can see, there's quite spiky, the guard hairs have bounced out, but before we do anything, we rub the body with the tinsel. There's 3, 4, into the 5th turn, we catch that in. Now the rib will help tie it in for you. Just make sure you've got your rib tied in, break it away. Now what I like to do, you can leave this, but what I like to do is take away the extra long fibres. Take them away. There's one there. So we can really define the body a bit better. And then what I like to do is just then roll my fingers on the body area, drawing it back, give it a bit of shape. You see there, it looks a bit better, a bit tidier. The thorax cover, I'm just going to use the pheasant tail again. But I'm going to use it as a thorax cover as well as legs. So what I'm doing here is just checking the tips of these pheasant tail fibres, making sure they're not broken. Now to form the legs and the thorax, it's quite an easy method. Just bring them 90 degrees from the stem. Make sure you've got a good dozen or so fibres. So you've got, I mean there's only 3 legs on the pheasant, 6 legs sorry, on the nymph. But you can exaggerate, I mean fish don't count. I've never seen one counting anyway. So basically bring the tips out, tear them away. We're going to tie this forward with the eye, but about a mil or so away from the eye, so you've got a head length away. When you tie these forward, now you're looking for a length, if anything, at least around about the body length, so if you measure that, tie that forward and sit it on the top, and then wind along the thorax, tying this in. But as we wind along, spread these pheasant tail fibres out, because this is going to be your thorax cover. Till we get to this point here, just as we meet the body. There's your legs, just like wee whiskers as we want to call them. So what we're doing here, I'm just splitting them in half. There you go, just like wee, as I say, whiskers. Just to get an idea of what it's going to look like. But we need to put some dubbing on there first. So, and I like to dub from this point, from there, up and then back down, just to tidy the thorax up. So if we go back to our dubbing, some more dubbing, onto our thread, and then, as I say, we dub up the way. There are a couple of reasons why I find it easier to dub on coming up, and when I'm coming back through, I'm actually tightening up the thorax with the thread as I wind through, just like a rib. I wind through a wee bit of dubbing on the thread, so it tidies it, makes it tidy. Work your way down. Obviously lift your legs back, thread to the front. So we've got my legs either side, so we're going to split these evenly either side of the thorax. So we bring the thorax cover through, and basically I bring it through, then I turn over just to hold, and then with that turn I can slightly loosen off now, tighten up the thorax, 3 or 4 turns, just to see how it's sitting. You can see how the legs are sitting. You can trim this away when we're happy. I mean, I'll show you another way. There's a couple of ways to actually tidy this up. You can trim it away, or you can fold it back and build the head up with the thread, and when you're tucking back these fibres, you get a neater finish. I mean, you can break these off. I mean, I'll show you, the pheasant tail fibre is not the strongest in the world, so you can just take your time, you can break them away, gives you a nice neat cut. But you have to make sure you've got it well tied in if you're doing that. Or you can trim it away, but it leaves the small fibres if you do that. Breaking them off gives you a neater cut. So we put finish, trim away the thread. What I'm going to do here is just, if you look, just taking the fibres, holding the fibres, squeezing it slightly, taking it towards the eye, gives it a more leggy like look, brings them into the side, more nymph like. As you can see, swim really well. Don't be shy with the legs, you want movement in your fly, don't want to hide them. And then what we can do, just varnish all the way around. There we are. Just make sure the eye's clean. Looks clean to me, but we'll just check by putting a piece of wire through it. Put our tail out so it looks apart. Once you start to fish the fly, it does work. I mean, if the pheasant tail fibre, you could use the what do you call it? The hare's ear dubbing as the legs. You just pick it out. I'm just putting the pheasant tail in. I see there's that many variants of the fly variants and styles of tying this pattern. You just tie your favourite, tie different, just have fun. Let's see, I've got one here, show you. It's got the pheasant tail, let's just get the partridge on the legs and the tail. There's another version, it's just the pheasant tail version there. So you do whatever you like. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And basically that's your hare's ear nymph.